Welcome to another episode of Masterclass. We are unpacking the topic of AI and Gen AI. You met our guest before. He's Peeyush Rai, the CEO of a startup weav.ai, which promises to bring Gen AI in the form of low code and no code to the global 2000 and enterprise. So if you listen to our last episode, Piyush and I spoke a lot about use cases where this is going to show up. We spoke about augmented knowledge management and customer service. Today, we want to go a little behind the curtain and start talking about how this could show up in tech. So, let me maybe just start off, Piyush, by saying, do you think it's only LLMs? Are we going to see small language models, medium language models? Because it's not just English these things are being trained for, it's probably also industry domains, and each domain has its own language. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think my conviction at this point is that the large language models that exist today, they are the sort of the forebearers of adoption for this technology today. And as you know, right, it's really expensive to build those models, and hence there are fewer companies that can afford to build it, even though everyone has their own data, but it's just not feasible sometimes in terms of economics to build those models. But this is getting easier and cheaper by the hour, I would say. Right, and we have already seen, I mean, the I have a blog post on our website about democratization of AI, and
Ah,
the cycle from commercial to democratization usually takes years. Uh, in the case of LLMs, it has happened within couple months or 3 months. It's like amazing, right? So large language models now are available in various shapes and forms. Most of them are open source, right? And of course, we know about the GPT-4s, and some of the models from Anthropic and Google are coming, right? Cohere. Uh, the so the While there are many options available today, the feasible ones are few, right? I mean, if you want to get started today, the GPT-4 is a great option. Just to highlight, it is different from ChatGPT. ChatGPT is an application that is built on GPT-4. GPT-4 is the model on which you can build your own application. So we, for example, at weav.ai, we are using GPT-4 in a privately hosted environment, so that our customers can will only our customers will have access to that model, and nobody else. Whereas ChatGPT is a application that everybody can access. So GPT-4 is a great place to start. It is the highest quality model today, right? Others, they are number two, number three. Uh, we have a good open source option with Llama 2 from Facebook, right, from Meta. The challenge with using an open source model right now is it is something that you will have to test and train for a little while before it becomes the same, or at an acceptable quality as a GPT-4 for your use case.
right.
You don't have to make the model as good as GPT-4 in everything, but for your use case, you want to be able to do that. So there is a little bit of lead time with a Llama 2 to be able to fine tune it, train it, and then start using it, which again will take some investment of time, effort, money, etc. So right now, these are the models that are available, and hence they allow you to start building quickly on certain use cases. But as you said, my conviction is that in the next 5 years, every company will have their own foundation models, right? Some of them will be language models. For example, we are building a multimodal document intelligence model, and we are building an intent model for conversations. So those are not something that will be released immediately, because these will take time, and we are a small company, so it will come. But similarly, each enterprise will be able to build their own foundation models. Some will be around language, some will be around their data, right? Some will be text based, some will be image based, some will be audio based, and so on and so forth. And my if you want to sort of take a parallel world from, let's say, last 20 years, the digital asset that companies built was their data, and right, in the last 20 years. and that data is currently residing in databases, in data warehouses, you know, not, your content repositories and so on. So all that is there already. Now in the next 10 years, you'll see a layer of these intelligent foundation models on sitting on top of data, and they become your interface to that data.
Right.
And that will help abstract abstract and unlock the value that is sitting in your data underneath, whether it's structured data or unstructured
Hmm.
data. So I would say in the next 10 years, uh, most companies will have this foundation model as the database. I mean, we'll stop
Right.
thinking about databases as databases, but you'll just go and ask a question and you'll get an answer, right, about that. And like I said, language is just one thing, but there'll be other insights and intelligence buried into those models. So 100%. And I think what will differentiate enterprises in the next 10 years will be their layer of foundation models, right?
Models.
Right, yeah.
And the way I understood it, what you're trying to do with weav.ai is extract this complication away and give everybody the ability to create these models on their own, but at least extract it by saying, to your point, text, document based, conversation, maybe text, voice, maybe in the future. And you're
Yes.
trying to build at least an abstraction layer and say,
Yes.
okay, now start building your models on weav.ai's foundational models, which are looking at more rudimentary things like speech, text, audio, etc.
Yes, absolutely. I think the speech, speech, text, and images or videos, they are the formats or the of the data. But then what we are going and saying, and there are some really good models available for all these, right?
Right.
What we are doing is we are taking more of a capabilities perspective. And again, being a
Mm.
small company, we are not going to try and solve everything for everyone, but we are looking at certain use cases where we say, okay, if you want to extract value and information from your documents or
Right.
your content repositories, what are the capabilities you would need to do that, right? um, and so we are actually, through our copilots, exposing those capabilities, which then can be used by a low code developer to develop the final application that will be powered by those copilots.
Got
Similarly with voice also, right? I mean, the voice is there, but then can be used for certain use cases. For enterprise use cases, we will provide the ability to uh, harness information from that voice, and then use it in other models to start using it for. And in fact, we already have a couple of customers where we are actually doing the first couple of projects for them, where starts with a voice and then it becomes gives you different types of insights in down the workflow, right? And same will happen with image and video, right? So yeah, no, absolutely. I think uh, once the foundation models are built by these enterprises, then the applications will start getting powered by them. And
right.
yeah, our goal is to sort of make that whole process easy by abstracting at the right level, because we don't need thousands of people writing the same code again and again for doing the same thing. We have done that in the past with the older models. Everybody had their own model training scripts and ML ops and everything. It's just it frustrates me that we are wasting so much time and energy to do the same thing, which can be completely abstracted. Yeah.
And Piyush, what's happening to me as I listen to this is I'm thinking of myself as the enterprise user and saying, okay, how am I going to use what Piyush is offering me? And my mind's going towards me building probably my models on top of the rudimentary basic models that I'm getting. Over time, probably I'm having a very modular way of looking at models, to the point that I might have multiple models sitting in a model garden. And to your other point, all of these are connected to existing applications via APIs. Is this how a future state of enterprise architecture will look like?
Yeah. I mean, there will be definitely multiple models. I think the caution that I would, again, uh, you know learning from the past, there are two learnings right now from the past 20 years, right? One is we have databases, right? And like I said, the foundation models will become sort of analogous to databases. One problem that enterprises have been still encountering and trying to solve is this garden of databases, or the
Mhm.
proliferation of databases. We create all these thousands of databases, and then we try to consolidate them into a data warehouse, for example, right?
Yeah.
Or consolidate databases. So I think we as technologists should learn from the past and not go crazy, because you have to be very careful. I think in general, do you really need this, right? Do you really need this foundation model, and what problems it will solve, and then invest in it, as opposed to, oh yeah, I have the ability to build a foundation model, okay, I'll make 3 today and 2 more tomorrow. And that, then it will end up with the same problem that we are having with databases, the same problem we had with our traditional ML models, right?
Mm.
We create thousands of models, and only 20% of them see production, if that, right? I would say the real number is 10%. And so what's the point of creating that model when it is not serving your business purpose? So I think that discipline of doing the due diligence of what model do you really need and what use cases it will serve is going to be important, and we should probably learn from our past experiences, right, and mistakes, to not have this massive garden of thousands of models.
Yeah.
I mean, it you will just end up spending money and time managing those models as opposed to solving your business problems, and that has happened before. And I think yeah, so model gardens will be there, but I think, like I said, CIOs and the tech leaders and the business stakeholders have to be really cognizant of what we really need, and these are obviously also going to be more expensive, because
Yeah.
at least in the near future, compute, GPU compute is going to be expensive and also limited. So yeah, these are things that enterprises should think about, as to how they can really sort of define what they need, and then build it slowly, as opposed to jumping into it. Yeah.
True. And I think given the expense of creating one and building something like this, I'm expecting companies like Bloomberg and others who are today deep into data services to start getting into model services and potentially sell foundational models. I'm not saying Bloomberg is going to do that,
Yeah.
so I have privy knowledge of what Bloomberg is doing, but I'm expecting that some things like this to happen, and which means if you're a global 2000 enterprise, you are buying such models, and you got to keep these somewhere, and then start building your own models on top of this. I don't know whether at the moment, I don't know whether we can even avoid a proliferation, that's a word,
Yeah.
of such models. So how do you think buy versus build would happen in such a world?
Yeah, I think that the Bloomberg example that you gave, right, is a good example. Let's sort of continue on that. So they have actually built a foundation model,
Yeah.
as you probably know, right?
Yeah.
They spend billions of dollars, and it makes perfect sense for them, right? Now they are using it to power their own applications, which is great, because now things are going to get a lot more easy to access. You don't have to write complex queries and stuff like that. You can have a little bit more easy interface with them. uh, if they do decide to sell that model to companies that are willing to pay for that model, then those companies can buy the models, and then there are various techniques to use these foundation models. As you probably know, you can do fine tuning, or reinforcement learning, right, with human feedback. There are few techniques that are feasible with these transformer models, and a platform like ours will enable you to sort of do that. There are other platforms too, right? Or you can write native code to do all that also. So um, yeah, these will be available, and then there will be some models, like we realize that for handling unstructured data, especially around documents, there is no foundation model available today. So we decided to build one, right? And so there'll be those kind of situations where it is not available, so you'll end up building it. Build versus buy decision is going to be the same, right? If it's in some cases, like we cannot build GPT-4, we have to buy it,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
today. I mean, there is a Llama 2 option, but like I said, even that you have to invest in training, and so it's something that is a feasible option, but it will definitely lack the capabilities compared to GPT-4, right? In many cases. So in some cases, it's smart to buy, and my assumption would be each of these sellers of these models will enable like a token based or some like a usage based model, which makes it feasible when you start. And then you can, of course, invest in building your models with caution, like I said, right? So yes, I would say you will have, and any enterprise will probably use a handful or dozens or hundreds of models depending on their use cases and sizes. But the key thing is discipline has to be there. If you end up with hundreds of models, then you'll find companies that are coming up that will tell you, oh, I'm building a SaaS platform to see which models you should use. That's what is happening right now. I saw
Discovery engines.
I'm not kidding. I saw this company that it's a startup which has built a product to help you choose the right analytics tool in your company. I mean, you know, y- y- it just blows my mind that you're not even going to the data. You're going to help choose the right analytics tool for your company. I mean,
Oh,
it's so you'll end up, and of course you can solve that problem in certain ways, but imagine the amount of inefficiency you are introducing there. And so I think that's the part one has.
Piyush, I I know you have a hard stop, and I know we're coming to the top of the hour. Any final thoughts, and then maybe end by telling our listeners where they can find you and Weave AI?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the final thoughts, I would say this is really an exciting time for technology. I mean, this is not just me saying it, everyone is excited. And you can see business leaders from top companies are, really sort of doubling down. I mean, the way Microsoft has, adopted this strategy around the next generation of technologies. Of course, we have other players like Nvidia has now become this really really important company, right? Not that they were not important earlier, but now they've become indispensable, so to speak. Right. Yeah, no, I mean, these are exciting times. It is going to open up the next paradigm shift for what you can do with technology in the enterprise, right? There are other domains, of course, that where this is going to play, but specifically within enterprises, I think next 10 years is going to be exciting. And I would say that the promise that AI has had, which hasn't been fulfilled yet for the enterprise, now I think we can see a lot more, of that being fulfilled. Again, with the caution that AI is not magic, right? It is to be used like any other technology. It is very, very powerful in the sense that it can do tasks that humans cannot do efficiently and accurately. So you have to use it in the right way, and if you are diligent and careful, it also brings risks, right? As we all know, so there is going to be risks around data security. We will discover all those things as we go in the next 2-3 years, right? 5 years. And there'll be vulnerabilities, we'll have to plug them, solutions will come for that. So it's an exciting time. I think it's the early days of AI adoption within enterprise. Yeah, and we hope to help at least a few companies to get to that adoption easier and more painlessly, right? By providing these copilots. Yeah, we are obviously on LinkedIn, and our website is weav.ai, weav.ai. Yeah, I mean, would love to help companies that see value and are trying to implement their first use cases around generative AI.
Piyush, great. Thanks so much. I mean, I wish I could spend the next 1 hour with you in a fireside chat, but I know we're running out of time. Thanks for so much for those thoughts. I couldn't agree with more with what you've just shared today. I hope our listeners feel the same. And anybody who's listening to this, feel free to check out Weave AI and have a conversation with Piyush. Piyush, thanks for having us. And
Thanks, Prashant. It was a pleasure, and yeah, thanks for having me here again.